trees. So sacred ponds or lakes are linked to the presence of a turtle or crocodile in the pond, because turtle and crocodile are they carry the spirit, so they are really important animals. Generally, in this place, you have no hunting, no cutting trees, and no fishing. Sometimes they collect the dead wood. That was not really clear. Sometimes it's allowed, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they say it's not, but some people do. This was not really clear at all in the study. And animals are protected in the large animals are protected in the spiritual protected area. And then we have a few examples of non-spiritual managed protected areas. The one I talked to you about groundwater and filtration protection for the water source of the village, and also a fish spawning area. They realized sometimes that some areas were important for fish and decided to protect them. Different kind of penalties, maybe you want to explain?
As Ralph said a minute ago, the customary law is self-enforcing to the extent that these beliefs are so fundamentally, integrated and internalized that if people transgress, if they violate customary law, and they know that the penalty for that is death, they die. And there are plenty of stories from from the field work that somebody took a turtle and then went away and started bleeding from like ears and nose and eyes and died a horrible death 2 days later. And it's these cases that reinforce the idea that the spirits are protecting, whether it's the animal or the place or both. In some cases, there are no specific penalties for specific actions. It's just generally, you have to ask the permission of the spirits, and if the spirits give permission, then you can do it.
Yeah, the spirit will always give permission, actually, so that's also one of the limits of the thing. As long as they will do a ceremony, the spirit will say yes, it seems. Except sometimes when you have, then after the ceremony, then something happened in the village, someone gets sick or someone died, then it seems it's a no, so they don't do it. But otherwise they would. And as you said, all these stories, the funny thing is all these stories involve Vietnamese people. So all the time it's Vietnamese people who come and stole a turtle in a sacred pond and shoot himself after stealing the turtle. It's all the time about foreigners coming, and there are many stories like that.
And that's one thing when we're looking at how to integrate statutory law and customary law. Statutory law pretty much applies to everybody. It's no for everybody. Yeah. But in customary law, it's yes for the villager and no for outsiders. And that's something that's going to have to be reconciled. The established penalties, they do have ranges of penalties. It depends on the seriousness of the violation. So if it's not so bad, maybe you only have to sacrifice a chicken. But if it's really bad, then you'll have to sacrifice a buffalo. But actually, we have a good example. No, this is actually Minavanda. Yeah. No, this is the sociologist economist who's working with us, who's part of the team. And she had actually made a promise that, and I don't know the whole story about her daughter. You do,
well,
but
yeah, we went from the field, and her daughter was one of the enumerator for the questionnaire, like the questionnaire in the household survey, and she was with me as a interpreter when I was doing the GIS work. So in the forest, we were entering in the forest most of the time without ceremonies, so we could face problem in the spirit. And for her it happened. She came back to Vientiane, the capital, and couldn't concentrate, couldn't sleep, had a depression problem, etc., etc. And her mother, so she is the consultant for the project, decided say to the spirit that if the situation would get better, she would then buy and offer a buffalo to the spirit of the forest in Sechampon. So she wants to go back, and I think next time we go back on the field, we will have a ceremony to pay back the spirit. The thing, she's Lao, but I would say she's Lao from the city. She's Lao from Vientiane, but still, this is really important in Lao culture. I mean, even people from the capital who always lived in the city, they really believe in it. And the thing is, she promised a buffalo, and then the head of the village said, "Oh, for this, that was a turtle or a buffalo." And the buffalo is, of course, 10 times more expensive than a turtle. So she was like, but now she promised the buffalo, she has to pay a buffalo.
When you say paid, where does it go? Is there a communal property that it goes to, or is it, is it sacrificed, or is it?
Yeah, sorry, sacrifice. She has to buy it, and then ceremony, and they offer it to the spirit in the forest. So they will kill it in the forest, and then the whole village will eat it for a few days. So it's a big ceremony.
It's a kind of nice excuse too.
Yeah.
Next slide.
So yeah, next slide. Oh. Yeah. I want you to do it.
Now, one of the things that we're doing is the desk study, and you know, and this means really sort of like picking apart first what they're talking about, what their customary law covers, and then going back to look and see what the sectoral laws are. So we've got seven national laws right now that we've identified, and the lawyer who's working with us is he's the Director General and the Minister of Justice who supervised the customary law study. So we've got the guy in Laos who knows customary law. So it's 7 sectoral laws plus the penal code. There's one law, it's called the Law on Aquatic Animals and Wildlife, that directly governs wetlands. That's the one law that most directly governs. But other laws, the water law obviously, has some influence, the agriculture law, the forest law. There's also a Prime Minister's decree that establishes a national committee to manage all Ramsar sites in the country, of which there are 2 right now. At the provincial level, they're in Savannakhet province, where this Ramsar site is located. There's similarly a governor's agreement that establishes a provincial committee to manage or oversee the management of this one particular Ramsar site. And the devil is always in the details, and the details are at the local level. At the local level, this year, in the first 5 months of this year, some other international conservation organizations have really pushed to get village regulations established that are village specific. And some of them are for ongoing projects, particularly on crocodile conservation. And then 2 of them just create general conservation areas. That is something now. Because this push came, after the Ramsar site was established, knowing that the management plan was going to be done. But in spite of that, they did this. So this is also something that we're going to have to reckon with when we're trying to come up with a general regulation for the whole Ramsar site.
Can I ask a question? Is there a rule that says that the higher law, let's say, always comes before the lower level, the provincial level, the local level? I mean, if there is a conflict between a village rule and a provincial rule? Yeah, so there is a hierarchy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
This is a social legal system, essentially. No, but
that's how it works normally, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's a very clear hierarchy. Absolutely.
Can I just ask another question? In quite a number of jurisdictions where indigenous local communities are the majority, you have customary law being recognised in some way, either in the constitution or in some other way within the statutory law. What's the situation in Laos?
Yeah, in Laos, it's recognized, but it's recognized in the Constitution, but it's weak. It says something like to maintain their lovely traditional practices.
More like
it's sort of, do you know what I mean? But that said, independently, they have something that you can base it on in the Constitution. But the government, they're not going to go back and amend the Constitution right now. But at least the government has realized at the level of central government that their country will be ungovernable unless they take customary law into account.
My further question is in relation to an analysis that you could do in relation to the statutory law, the customary law, and in particular then what might be called soft law. And obviously soft law in this kind of circumstance has got a very special kind of need when we consider that customary law might be the actual law that governs the vast majority of the people in the communities, and as you say, the statutory law is pretty much irrelevant. One of the questions would be from a governmental point of view when you're dealing with wetlands and management of wetlands, and in particular thinking about the rights of the people under this analysis that you've been doing in rights-based approaches, how important is what we could say the overall soft customary law in relation to all of this? In other words, what influence does that softer approach have in terms of the management decisions taken at governmental level?
Well, one, we're still in the process of doing that with the comparative analysis right now, and we have a monster matrix. I mean, the thing's a beast. It's about 2 meters long.
Right.
But we got everything in there. What influence does it have on government decision making? None right now. For this particular Ramsar site, none, because the Ramsar site is so new. The provincial and national committees for managing Ramsar sites haven't even met yet. But both committees are aware of this. At the level of the ministry that is responsible for administering like wetlands, they want this sooner rather than later. And of the 2 Ramsar sites, the other one in the country was already more well-known and more tourist destination. So the government put its focus on getting a management plan for that Ramsar site done first. But what we're doing in the not quite so touristy Ramsar site is something that they then want to copy for the other one. So both of these processes will feed each other ultimately.
That's perfect. I think it's good for this part.
Yeah. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, what's next? So now we finalize the data analysis. We need to draft the reports and start drafting the regulation, coming back to the different village and the different community to cross-check once more that what we wrote is actually the truth, how it works on the field. And a few challenge to draft the regulation document will be to reconcile site-specific customary law with general statutory law. So to analyze what are the conflicts and how we can reconcile this. And also customary versus statutory penalties. For example, we have one example of a lake protected, spiritually protected, and also protected by a new village regulation. And the penalties are not the same. So what is do we apply the 2 penalty, both penalty coming from customary law and from statutory law, or is it the statutory law? This is really new because the document has been drafted in May. So it's a good analysis that we have to do also on this.
You can imagine that they are not of the same nature, the penalty. One may be money to the state, and the other is sacrifice.
Well, no, actually, see, that's not really. Yeah, no, that will happen. That will happen anyway. Yeah, but what these village regulations, they have 3 levels of penalties. So one will be generally a fine, a minor fine, and a warning. And the second level will be a bigger fine and a final warning. And then the third one, you sacrifice a buffalo. You sacrifice a buffalo.
Yeah,
So and in I think in one of them they will turn you over to the district authorities. But not for all of them. No, this is for killing a crocodile, for example. But so they're inconsistent, and actually the second one, reconciling the penalties, is the thing that Ketsana has said is his biggest concern. I mean, the Ministry of Justice lawyer says that for him, the biggest difficulty is going to be reconciling the penalties, because he's saying, we're never going to get the penal code amended. So, we've got, this is what he really thinks, is going to be the sticking point for this. I think there will probably be a few others, but,
So the goal is, if I understand you well, to have the customary law become statutory law, or not?
Some aspects of it.
No. That's more kind of inspiration to have to see what's happening on the customary law level, something that is working, that the people believe in, and use this example to have a general document covering the whole wetland and other parts of the wetland. For example, when they protect a fish spawning area, sometimes they just protect the pond because they're spirits, but then they realize that the fish is more abundant around this pond. So we will try to explain them to say, oh, that's a good example. So maybe we could do that there, and there. And this will be turned into statutory law. But the first pond will stay customary law. It's working. There's no need to put it at statutory law level. And that could have a secondary effect that wouldn't.
And there also, there will be some, there will probably be some aspects, or at least some articulations of customary law that won't be directly translated into statutory law. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, the kind of thing, like you said, bleeding from your eyes. Do you know what I mean? That, it's not going to go. But there, and that's why so we also may have some difficulties with some of these things that these other groups have jumped in and tried to push and do, because they cover right now 5 communities out of 40, but we still have to figure out how to deal with them somehow. So the idea is not to completely codify customary law. That's not the point. The point is to.
Well, I would say it's impossible.
Yeah. No, and the point is not to codify customary law. The point is to, rather than what tends to be done, rather than legislate right straight into conflict. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. You know, and this won't even be legislate. This will simply be regulate. But regulate in a way that incorporates all of the positive and sustainable things that are being done right now, and that are generally accepted by everybody, and then see the degree to which like village-specific mechanisms can be integrated into that. So we're not. The idea is not to take customary law and write it down and turn it into something that stops dead in its tracks as of 2012, because that's not the point. No, the idea is still to allow the same kind of dynamic evolution that has made customary law what it is. So but I mean that conflict, that statutory customary law conflict is definitely there, and we definitely do not want to, by one regulation, cut off the action and the evolution of customary law. That's not the idea at all, just the opposite.
Yeah, and at a management level, it's so also something unusual in Laos to have something common from the community. So this is kind of new, and that's what we want to achieve, to work with the community on the regulation. What do you want for your own wetland? Let's draft a document together, and this way we hope that they will respect more the regulation document. We have other example of so-called national protected area in Laos with a beautiful regulation that is not respected at all on the field, because the people, they don't understand it. There have been like some explanation by local official, but it's not part of their word. They have not been associated to the drafting. So we try to do it the other way around, from bottom up. And I think it's working. They were really interested in participating on all the dialogues that we had with them. They really want to talk about that. It's really important. It's their culture. It's more than the law. It's everything what they believe in. So we think that if based on that we draft a regulation document with them, that will be more efficient.
And also, it's bottom up. It's also top down, because we definitely like we're talking to the Ministry of Justice. We're talking to like the 2 committees know what we're doing. The district authorities know what we're doing. Because obviously in Laos you can't do anything that the government is not ultimately going to us. Oh, okay, we've got 15 minutes before you turn on.
So maybe the second presentation. I'll let you take the lead with that.
Okay, I'll tell you what we were going to do. Honestly, is then ask you all. I mean, what we see is there, like the way to approach something like this. We came up with sort of 5 steps, and we wanted to ask you all, if anybody who had some experience doing this, or even if you hadn't, what you think might be a good way to approach it. But with little time.
We go through this. I guess we covered most of the thing. Just more how to make something intangible as customer reload, something tangible in a study. How to put that in a frame is super difficult. That's the challenge. That's why you need to cross-check, and even if you cross-check, sometimes you have uncertainties because it's something. It's about spirit, taboos, beliefs. So it's a challenging study, I think. But the good thing is that people are really interested in participating. They want, and they question themselves also. When they talk about it, they just when you ask a question, sometimes you feel like they don't have the question, they don't have the answer, and they will think about it, and it's just it's a long process. So you have to go and back all the time. Go to the field many times, talk to many different people. Official way, questionnaire, clear frame with a group discussion, and then really important the unofficial way. So stay with them. Yeah, stay in the village, drink beer, and talk with the people as long as you can, and then you cross check all the time. You have to be in your study 100% of the time, except if understood. And yeah, maybe we just.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just with respect to your conversations with people, do they know what the purpose of all this is? So they're pretty aware of the purpose, or are they just sort of answering questions and
Do we explain what we do?
Yeah, and what do they fully understand what's going to happen?
Yeah, and maybe linked to that, do they want you to come? I mean, are they open, or are they the asking parties?
That's important. Yeah.
Because maybe we from more Western countries, let's say, are telling